Hello students, here we will study the topic genetics about Gregor Mendel experiment, his laws and principles, how the experiment was done and what are the observations and results. Let's start. What is genetics? Genetics is the study of genes and heredity. It deals with heredity and variation. What is heredity? Heredity is the transmission of characters from parents to the offsprings. That means the characters which are present in the parents are transmitted to the offspring through the gametes. That from generation to generation. And variation, what is variation? Differences in characters in the offsprings and between offsprings and parents. Means the differences between you and your parents, that is called variation. The difference between you and your son or your grandson or your granddaughter is known as variation. Okay, now study the types of genetics. Types of genetics are many types, but here we will study some basic types like transmission genetics, molecular genetics and population genetics. What is transmission genetics? Mode of transmission of genes from generation after generation. That means transmission is the transformation, means one to other transfer. Thus here transmission genetic directly indicates the mode transfer of genes from the parents to the offsprings in such a way generation after generation. And molecular genetics, what is molecular genetics? Molecular genetics is the study of gene structure and function. What is gene? How gene is arranged, the structure of a gene, the 3D or 2D structure of genes and its function in every locus, in every parts of the body, in every things, genes structure and function. Population genetics is refers to study of gene behavior in population. How gene behaves in a population. We know population means number of peoples together living in an habitat. That is called population. And this population, let's create an example like elephant population. In elephant population, each elephant has different genes and each genes behave different. That's why every elephant, if in a elephant population there are 100 elephants, then 100 each of the elephants act differently, their behaviors are different. This is called population genetics. That means study of the gene behavior in population, how gene behaves in a population. Now, who is called the father of genetics? Father of genetics, we all know from the 10th standard who creates the genetics, who is called the father of genetics? Gregor Johann Mendel. What was done by Gregor Johann Mendel? Now study. Mendel studied the mode of transmission of genes. That's why we study the transmission genetics. This was taught by Gregor Mendel. Okay. This was taught by Gregor Mendel. So what was done by Gregor Mendel? Gregor Mendel studied the mode of transmission of genes from generation to generation by conducting an experiment on garden pea plant. Garden pea plant means we know garden pea plant, that scientific name is Pisum sativum. You have to remember this name. Okay, it's a short question. His result was published on the research paper entitled with Experiments in Plant Hybridization in 1865. What was done by his experiment? He published his result in experiment in plant hybridization in 1865. Okay, then why Mendel chose garden pea plant? Why Mendel chose this question was common question asked by anyone. So here, why Mendel chose to garden pea plant? Mendel selected pea plant as the experimental material because of the following reason. What are the reasons? These are the reasons: short lifespan, easy to cultivate, it is a self-fertilizing plant, pea flower is bisexual, hybrids that are produced by cross-pollination between varieties are fertile. So, short lifespan, the pea plant has a short lifespan. That means if we crossed the plant, it will survive up to 2 years or 2 months, 8 months. That's why short lifespan is the main reason to take the pea plants as experimental material by Gregor Mendel. Easy to cultivate. These are easy to cultivate. It is self-fertilizing plant. It is a self-fertilizing plant or cross-fertilizing plant. Pea flower is bisexual. It's a greater important point. Pea flowers are bisexual. That's why it was taken as experimental material. Hybrids that are produced by cross-pollination between varieties are fertile. The cross-pollination, which was done by the The cross pollination which was done by the Gregor Mendel, in these hybrids which are produced by cross pollination are fertile, that can be easily fertile, they can be again produce offsprings. Which characters are studied by Gregor Mendel in pea plants? So Gregor Mendel studied 7 pairs of contrasting characters in pea plant. What are they? Plant size, flower position, flower color, pod shape, seed color, seed cell. The plant size, here is the we say 7 pairs of contrasting characters. We say 7 pairs of contrasting characters. That means the plant size have 2 effects. One is dominant effect, another is recessive effect. Dominant effect is the tall, recessive effect is the dwarf. So plant size is the character, it has a 2 effect, dominant effect is tall and recessive effect is dwarf. In the similar way, flower position, dominant effect is axial, recessive effect is terminal. Flower color, dominant effect is purple, recessive effect is white. Pod color, dominant effect is green, recessive effect is yellow. Pod shape, dominant effect is inflated, recessive effect is constricted. Character seed color, dominant effect is yellow, recessive effect is green. Character seed shape, dominant effect is round, recessive effect is wrinkle. Okay, clear? Then what was the results of the Mendel's experiment? Results of the Mendel's experiments are 4 results. What are they? They concluded 4 postulates. Postulate 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the 4 postulates? Let's study. Postulate 1 is the principle of paired factor. Postulate 2 is the principle of dominance. Postulate 3 is the law of segregation. Postulate 4 is the law of independent assortment. So here, hence Mendel conducting experiment on garden pea plant give 4 postulates, out of which 2 are principles and the 2 are principles and other 2 are laws. This is the short question. How many postulates give Mendel's give how many postulates? 4 postulates, out of which 2 are principles and other 2 are laws. Let's study principle of paired factor, that is postulate 1. So it is also known as law of unit factor. It's a 2-mark question. Okay, it's a 2-mark question. Postulate 1 is the principle of paired factors. So it suggests that each character in an organism is controlled by a pair of distinct means distinct or separate physical units called factors. So as we know, in pea plants, plant size is the character and it was controlled by 2 effects. One is tall and another is dwarf. So this was stated by Gregor Mendel. It suggests that this principle of paired factor suggests that each character in an organism is controlled by a pair of different or separate physical unit. Pair means 2 physical units that are called factors. The 2 factors lie on the 2 homologous chromosomes at the same locus. The same locus is the position of the gene. These factors are later given as gene. These factors are later given as genes by Johansen. Okay, we will study about genes discovery, but these factors are later named as genes by Johansen. Okay, so that's why the genes are present in different position and these positions are known as locus are the position of genes in chromosome. Okay, so here he said the 2 factors lie on the 2 homologous chromosomes at the same locus. These factors may be identical, that is homozygous, or different, that is heterozygous, are passed from the parents. These factors are identical, tall, they may be tall or dwarf and passes from the tall or dwarf. These are pure breeding, or tall dwarf. Okay, these are passes from the parents to the offspring. The factors representing the identical or different forms of a character are called alleles. These alleles are none other than genes. Okay, so here we say postulate number 2. Postulate number 2 is the principle of dominance. So Here is the statement given by Gregor Mendel. When two unlike alleles for a given character come together in an organism, only one of them is expressed while the other remains unexpressed. So it says when two unlike alleles, here we gave tall and dwarf. Okay, so when these both are come for a given character, means, let us consider plant size. Plant may be tall, may be dwarf. The plant size is the character and these are alleles. Okay, when two unlike alleles, these are unlike alleles because tall is tall and dwarf, these are unlike alleles for a given character. Let us consider plant size, which is a character, come together in an organism, only one of them is expressed while the other remains unexpressed. The allele which is able to express its effect in the individual is called dominant allele and is represented by capital letter. The other allele which remains unexpressed is called recessive allele and is represented by small letter. This all statement was given by Gregor Mendel. So here is the explanation about this. When Mendel crossed a pure breeding tall pea plant, means here pure breeding tall pea plant with a pure breeding dwarf pea plant, it results all tall plants in F1 generation. So here we see a pure breeding tall pea plants means here if we take a tall pea plants of 10 centimeter. Okay, here is the pure breeding means completely, here is the genotype is capital T. So we express means tall. Here Gregor Mendel showed some symbols about the alleles per given character. So here alleles, here he gave capital letter for the tall and small letter for the dwarf. Okay, dwarf pea plant which is 2 centimeter. Okay, small t. This is dwarf, this is tall. Okay, so he symbols is, and these symbols are known as genotypes. What are genotypes? Genotypes is the genetic expression of a character in terms of alleles written in symbols. Example, tall was given as pure breeding tall was given as capital T. Pure breeding dwarf was given as small t. And what is F1 generation? F1 generation is the fast fetal generation. That means it can be self-reproduced or cross-reproduced and produces offspring. They are fertile. Okay, that's why it is known as F1 generation. Here is the flow chart representation of the principle of dominance. First, we know phenotype. What we take? Pure breeding tall pea plant. And we crossed it pure breeding dwarf pea plant. Here is the genotype pure breeding as it is represented all capital letter and it is represented all small letter. Here we know meiosis. Meiosis means in the formation of gamete. So here it occur meiosis and it give gamete. Okay. To understand, we circle the gametes. Okay. Then here fertilization occur and they give capital T small t. This is the genotype of F1 generation. And here is the phenotype. These are heterozygous tall. Why we called heterozygous? Because these are different. Capital T comes from the pure breeding and small t comes from the pure breeding dwarf pea plant, and they also together give heterozygous tall. Here, why we gave it tall? Because Gregor Mendel see all the tall pea plants. As we know, we create an example like we cross 10 centimeter tall pea plant with 2 centimeter dwarf pea plant. Okay, they gave 8 centimeter tall pea plant. This is heterozygous. This is the heterozygous tall pea plant. So when we cross 10 centimeter of a tall pea plant with a 2 centimeter of a dwarf pea plant, we get 8 centimeter, or Gregor Mendel get 8 centimeter of a plant. So here when we called it dwarf plant, when the plant is 2 centimeter or below it. So here he got 8 centimeter tall pea plants. Why? That's why it is called heterozygous tall. It is not the pure breeding 10 centimeter tall, not the pure breeding 2 centimeter dwarf. That's why it is heterozygous tall. It is here they gave some example. Here are some results are given by Gregor Mendel. So here in F1 generation, both unlike alleles, that is tall and dwarf, occur together, but only tall character is expressed. As we all know, tall and dwarf are gametes are fused. Tall dwarf are appear in the F1 generation, but only tall character is expressed. Tall character is dominant. It is suppressed as dwarf character and it is expressed. Hence, it is known as tall, heterozygously tall, because we do not get the exact size of the pure breeding tall pea plant in F1 generation. That's why it is called heterozygous tall. So here, what was the results in F1 generation? Both unlike alleles, that is tall and dwarf, occur together, but only tall character is expressed. Hence, tall is the dominant allele because tall character suppressed the dwarf character and it is expressed in F1 generation, and dwarf is recessive allele of plant height character. So, for the pea plant height character, only dwarf is the recessive allele and tall is the dominant allele. These are the results given by Gregor Mendel.